Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going to break down the powerhouse ideas from James Clear's mega bestseller, Atomic Habits. We're going to figure out why so many of our best intentions just fizzle out, and more importantly, what we can actually do about it. Okay, so have you ever felt like you're just stuck? You set this huge, exciting goal, maybe running a marathon or finally learning that language, and you're all in for a few weeks, but then nothing. You lose steam. And if you're like most of us, you probably blame yourself, right? Oh, I just don't have enough willpower. But what if the problem isn't you at all? And that brings us to this quote, which is really the heart of the whole book. James Clear says, the issue isn't a lack of ambition. Nope, it's that we're obsessed with the finish line, the big goal. We're not paying nearly enough attention to the system, the day-to-day process that's supposed to get us there. So let's talk about this myth of transformation. It's this idea a lot of us have that we need some huge life-altering moment to see results. We wait for that perfect Monday or for some lightning bolt of motivation to strike. But that all-or-nothing approach, it's basically a recipe for feeling frustrated and just burning out. Because here's the thing, real, lasting change doesn't come from that one big transformation. It comes from the compound effect of hundreds of tiny, small decisions. And these are what Clear calls atomic habits. They're these tiny, almost insignificant choices that when you do them over and over, day after day, they build into something absolutely remarkable. Okay, now for the really cool part, the math behind these tiny gains. It's all about the power of 1%. You see, progress isn't a straight line. It's exponential. It's kind of like compound interest, but for your own self-improvement. Get this. If you can manage to get just 1% better each day for a year, you'll end up a staggering 37 times better when you're done. But the flip side is also true. If you get 1% worse each day, you basically slide all the way down to zero. It's wild, but it just goes to show how much these tiny habits really, truly shape where you're headed. But here's the catch. That progress isn't always visible right away. James Clear has this amazing analogy for it. He calls it the plateau of latent potential. Okay, so imagine an ice cube sitting in a really cold room. Let's say it's -4 degrees. Now you start putting in the work. You start heating up that room. The temperature starts to climb. -3, but you look at the ice cube and nothing's happening. You're putting in all this effort, but you can't see any change at all. Then it hits -2 degrees. Still nothing. You keep cranking up the heat, but from the outside, it looks like all your hard work is for nothing. And this really frustrating period where it feels like you're stuck, that's what climate calls the valley of disappointment. But then you hit 0 degrees and bam, a huge change. That 1 degree shift unlocks this massive breakthrough and the ice finally starts to melt. See? All that work you put in wasn't wasted, not at all. It was just being stored, building up all this potential for this exact moment. And this is such a perfect illustration of why we have to stick with it long enough to break through that plateau. It's so easy to give up in that valley of disappointment, right? So many people do, without ever realizing they were literally just 1 degree away from that huge breakthrough. So the big question is, how do you find the will to push through that plateau when you can't see the results yet? Well, the secret is all about shifting your focus. Stop focusing on what you want to achieve. That's the outcome. Instead, focus on who you want to become. That's your identity. This is such a powerful way to reframe things. Think about it. Instead of saying, I want to lose weight, you start thinking, I want to become a healthy person. The goal isn't just to read one book. The goal is to become a reader. Because every single action you take is like casting a vote for the type of person you want to be. So every time you pick the salad instead of the fries, you're casting a vote for, I am a healthy person. Every time you lace up your running shoes, that's another vote for, I am a runner. These tiny habits start to reinforce that new identity, and that's when the change starts to feel totally natural, not like a chore. Okay, so that brings us to the really practical, hands-on stuff, the toolkit. Clear gives us 4 super simple but really profound laws for building good habits. And the cool thing is, you can just flip them upside down to break your bad ones. And here they are. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. It's a simple little framework you can use anytime you want to change a behavior. Just ask yourself those 4 questions. How can I make it obvious? How can I make it attractive? How can I make it easy? And how can I make it satisfying? All right, law number 1, make it obvious. This means you want the cues for your good habits to be, well, unmissable. Want to play more guitar? Don't hide it in the case. Put it on a stand right in the middle of your living room. A really great technique for this is habit stacking. You just link a new habit to one you already do. So something like, after I pour my morning coffee, I'll meditate for just 1 minute. Second law, make it attractive. You want to make the habit feel irresistible. And we're social animals, right? We want to fit in. So one of the best ways to make a habit attractive is to join a group or a culture where that thing you want to do is totally normal. Their energy becomes your energy. Their standards become your standards. Number 3, and honestly, this one is a total game changer. Make it easy. Look, we are all naturally wired to take the path of least resistance. So just reduce the friction. Lower the number of steps between you and that good habit. Lay out your gym clothes the night before. Prep your healthy meals ahead of time. Make it a no-brainer. And finally, the 4th law, make it satisfying. Our brains are just hardwired to love immediate rewards, way more than some far-off payoff. So you've got to find a way to feel successful right now, in the moment. Even something as simple as a habit tracker, where you get that little hit of satisfaction from crossing off the day. That's huge. It proves to your brain that you're making progress. Okay, let's go back to that 3rd law, make it easy, for a second, because it has one of the most powerful little tricks in the entire book. It's called the 2-minute rule, and it is designed to just completely stop procrastination dead in its tracks. So here's how it works. When you start any new habit, you just scale it down so it takes less than 2 minutes to do. That's it. It makes it so easy to start that you really can't say no. So do 30 minutes of yoga becomes take out my yoga mat. Read before bed becomes read 1 page. The point isn't to do the whole thing right away. The point is to make starting completely effortless. As Clear says, you've got to standardize before you can optimize. You just have to master the habit of showing up. That's the real goal. Because once you master that part, the rest just kind of follows. I mean, once you've read that 1 page, it's pretty easy to keep going, right? Once your running shoes are on, you might as well head out the door. So if there's one thing to take away from all of this, it's that remarkable results don't come from some massive overnight transformation. They come from tiny atomic habits that compound day after day. The real secret? Start ridiculously small. Master the art of just showing up. And remember, with every single action you take, you're casting a vote for the person you ultimately want to become.